What's up, everybody, and welcome to the channel. Hope everyone out there is doing well. It's your boy Mello. Well, Happy New Year. This is my first video of 2022. We're in February, as all of you know, and I just want to say life happens. I think the important thing is that we all kind of get back up and we keep fighting. I'm just trying to figure out what are some things that I want to change, going into the new year. What are some things that I want to leave behind? Trying to keep on track with work, trying to, figure out YouTube, how I want to put my content out to you guys, and how I want to be, received and how I want to be perceived. Because I feel like it's very important that whatever it is that I put out into the world, I want it to be good and I want it to be helpful, and I want it to be with pure intent. So I'm still trying to figure all of that out. Sometimes I think I kick myself a little harder if it's not perfect, or if I don't have the most fancy equipment and all that good stuff. I think that time will tell, hopefully, and that I'm here for the journey and I'm here for the growth as well. So I understand that'll take time and things like that. So yeah, I just want to, thank you guys for being patient, and hopefully you guys are still rocking with me, and hopefully you guys still check in and watch the content that I'm creating. So let's get right into it. So I wanted to come on and talk to you guys today about 5 things that I wish I knew growing up in foster care. Some of these I actually did know. 5 things are things that I feel like definitely apply to all foster youth, and that can be generalized. And I do know that some of these things not all foster youth know. So I wanted to make sure that I just come out here and just share 5 things that I feel like really could have helped me growing up in foster care. First thing that I wish I knew growing up in foster care is that you have rights, okay? As a foster youth, it is your right to not attend any religious organizations, be a part of any religious groups or anything like that. And you also do not have to participate in any holidays. So that means Christmas, that means Easter, that means even New Year's. Some people celebrate that. 4th of July, Thanksgiving, those things you do not have to participate in if you yourself, as a foster youth, do not agree with those. And I think this is so important, because growing up in foster care, I cannot tell you how many times people try to convert me to their religion. I've lived with every foster parent. I've lived with black, white, I've lived with Mexican, I've lived with Indians, I've lived with them all, Asians. Somewhere, somehow, they try to push their religious beliefs on you and things like that. They can't do that, okay? It is not legal. They cannot do that. And you have a right to say you don't want to belong to that religious organization, and you also have a right to say you don't want to participate in any holidays. I want to encourage any foster youth who maybe is currently being forced into a religion, or is being forced to participate in any holiday. Talk to your social worker, or talk to someone who you feel is in your corner that you feel can help you. Second thing that I wish I knew growing up in foster care, this is something that I actually did know, but I feel like it's still happening, and I feel like a lot of youth may not know, so I wanted to make sure to put that out there just in case it is happening. Foster parents cannot whoop, they cannot spank, they cannot put their hands on you. Unfortunately, a lot of foster youth are currently being physically abused, they're being sexually abused, they're being emotionally abused. Physical abuse is one of those things I feel like go under the radar, or maybe even some youth may not know that they just don't have that right. We have that corporal punishment, foster care, foster parents are not allowed to do it to you. So to any foster youth out there who may be getting physically abused, who may be getting spanked, whooped, something thrown at them, whatever it is, I really want to encourage you again to talk to your social worker or someone who you feel is in your corner that you feel can help you speak up and you feel can help advocate on your behalf. The third thing that I wanted to come on and talk to you guys about is actually something that applies specifically to me, and something that I unfortunately did not know growing up in foster care. And the third thing is foster parents cannot lock food up. Woof. I'll speak personally about me. This is one of those things that, looking back now as an adult, I can kind of pinpoint in my childhood that was a focal point of trauma for me. Focal point of trauma because at one point it just became so normal that I didn't even realize it. I just thought it was how the world worked. I thought it was how everyone worked. I thought everyone had their food locked up at home. Became normal, and it's something that's not. And eventually, once I left that home, I had to transition and know that, okay, that wasn't normal, and I had to kind of work through that and dive through that. I had to ask every time I wanted something to eat, could I have something to eat if she wasn't cooking, my foster mom, which she never did. So I always had to ask. It was also traumatic to know that, so there were 6 of us in the home at the time, 6 foster youth. And she also had her 3 biological children. So the only people who had access to the pantry was the foster mom and her 3 biological children. So of course that created some trauma as well. It created, just a lot of things in me that I maybe didn't feel like I was good enough because I was in foster care, but her biological kids get access to this and to that. I really want to encourage any foster youth who may be having their food locked up. Please talk to your social worker, or again, someone who you feel is in your corner that can help you, who can advocate on your behalf, who should not be locked up. And it makes me, because I feel like because it hits personal to home, it's always one of those things that just irks me and grinds me every time I hear about it, because I know the intent behind it, and I know how many times I went without eating, how many times I had to legit starve because my foster mom was not home to unlock the pantry because she takes the keys with her. So it brings up a lot of things for me, when, kind of talking about that. I want to encourage any foster youth who may be having their food locked up, talk to someone. It should not be happening, and it cannot happen. The 4th thing that I wish I knew growing up in foster care is that your social worker works for you. Without you being in foster care, without you being a foster youth, your social worker would not have a job. So in that aspect, they do work for you. On the flip side of that, I also really want to make sure that all my foster youth hear me when I say you have to respect your social worker. What do I mean when I say that your social worker works for you, and what do I mean by when I say you need to respect your social worker? When I say that your social worker works for you, I mean that they should be the ones checking in on you regularly to make sure that all of your needs, are being met, that you're being fed, that you're being clothed, that you're being properly sheltered, that you have, privacy, that all your rights are being, respected. Now, when I say that you should respect your social worker, just because they work for you does not mean they have to do whatever it is that you say. Oftentimes, I have seen a lot of foster youth just talk to their social workers any kind of way, right? I'm a huge fan of respect. I'm a huge believer, and it goes both ways. You respect me, I respect you. It is honestly as simple as that in my world. I really want to make sure that the foster youth know that you do need to respect your social worker. Talk to them. Tell them your needs. Let them know what it is that you need. Have that healthy, open communication, but also hold them accountable. It's interesting because now that I am working in the mental health field and I'm on the other side of what I call, now I'm on the paperwork side, so I'm on the other side of it. I get it. Social workers, they have high volume caseloads, and I'm talking, a single social worker can have anywhere from a 35 plus volume caseload, right? So trying to meet with every youth weekly, sometimes even monthly, that'll get impossible. You just won't be able to do it. So I want to make sure that foster youth, they know that you can go to your social worker, let them know, express your needs, but also hold them accountable. There should be no way a social worker is going 2 to 3 months without checking in on you. So make sure that your social worker is doing their job, hold them accountable, express your needs, talk to them, have healthy, open communication, and also respect your social workers. Now, the last thing that I wish I knew growing up in foster care, and I can break this down to so many ways, and I may even make a different video, on this topic, but AB12, AB12, AB12. I actually did know growing up in foster care, and it's actually something that I did participate in, but unfortunately, I cannot tell you how many foster youth I knew missed out on AB12 or did not do AB12. What is AB12? AB12 is an extended foster care program for foster youth. You have to meet certain criteria, so I believe you have to have been in foster care on the day that you turned 18, so on the day of your 18th birthday, you would have had to be in foster care. And you can do AB12 from the ages of 18 to 21. So it gives you, 3 years to stay in foster care, extended foster care, get yourself together and to kind of do something with yourself. AB12 does have a few different programs. The one that I did was called a THP Plus program. Essentially what that program did for me, and I'll speak for myself and what my THP Plus program looked like. The foster care agency, they gave me my own apartment. Within that, I had to meet certain criteria. So you either have to be like in high school, working towards a diploma, your high school diploma or your GED, to work full time or be going to college. There's criteria that you have to be doing, like, right? You can't just be sitting around doing anything. You have to be working, looking for a job, or in college. Some benefits that I got out of that program was that on top of them giving me my own apartment, they also gave me a $250 stipend twice a month. So that came out to about $500 a month that I called free money that I was getting just for being in the program. So free apartment, free money. I also did not have to pay rent. So on top of them paying me, I also didn't have to pay rent. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I got to go to college for free. College is generally and normally free for a lot of foster youth. I feel like, why not take advantage of it? Went there for 2 years. Unfortunately, once I reached 21 and I had to start working full time to support myself, and I didn't have the support system of AB 12. And like I said, because I grew up in foster care, I don't have any family. I didn't have a natural support system. Unfortunately, I had to drop out of college and I had to start working just full time to make ends meet and to support myself. But it was a great program for what it did at the time for me. And without AB 12, I definitely would be on the streets right now, and I definitely would be homeless. So that's what I'm saying. I want to encourage every foster youth, if you are 17 or 17 and a half, please, I want to encourage you to talk to your social worker to get the process started. It does take about 6 months, so it can be lengthy. So you want to make sure that you leave yourself some time. But don't worry, even if it's after 18, you can still enter a THP program up until your 21st birthday, okay? So there's still time if you're a little older than 18, that's okay. That's just a glimpse at AB 12. Like I said, I could do a completely separate video on AB 12, the process, what it looked like for me, how it helped me, the different, other different avenues. There's also a silk that I didn't even talk about. I can talk about that if you guys are interested. In a nutshell, that is AB 12, and that is something I would encourage every foster youth to do. Look at that as free money, as a free place to stay, and really as a place for you to get yourself together. Like I said, I took the time. I went to college for 2 years, got me a little bit of an education. It was also time for me to really just pinpoint what I wanted to do in life, where I wanted to go, how I wanted to, set myself up for success in the future. That is something I would encourage every foster youth to do, because I've seen success, and I had tremendous success with AB 12 personally. Again, that's AB 12 in a nutshell. I can make a whole nother video on that, and I probably will, just about AB 12 and what are your options after foster care? What should you do? Again, those are 5 things that I wish that I knew growing up in foster care. So let me know what you guys thought of this video. Please leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, or a thumbs down if you did not. I understand that YouTube does not show the dislikes button to the public anymore, but I feel like it'll still be good for me to know, because that'll let me know what content is really resonating with you guys, and that'll let me know, okay, this content, my viewers like, maybe this content my viewers don't like. So even though you guys can't see the dislike button, I think it'll still help for me. Thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. But either way, go ahead and make sure that you please leave a comment. Let me know what you guys thought of this video. Did you learn anything new about foster care? Was there things that may have surprised you? Or what are some tips that you have? I would love to hear from any current foster youth. I would love to hear from any former foster youth. What are some things that maybe you wish you knew growing up in foster care that can help other foster youth? Like I say, I think especially foster youth, we need to stick together. We got to pay it back. We have to help each other, because I think that we can all sort of attest that foster care really is not it. So, unless you know how to advocate for yourself, and unless you know how to navigate that system, you're kind of going to be stuck like Chuck, and you will be, you kind of will fall under the radar as a foster youth. And that's what we don't want to happen. I just want to pay it forward, and I want to really help, and I really want to instill positivity and hope in foster youth, because when I was in foster care for 11 years, I was hopeless. Just hopeless. You don't know what's going to happen, constantly changing homes. I just really hope that this video maybe helps some foster youth know their rights. I really hope that this helps some foster youth kind of become a little bit more confident in being in foster care. I can say foster care did not get better for me until I turned 18. Once I was an adult, and once I wasn't under the ward of the court anymore. I didn't have social workers coming in and checking on me. I still did, because I did AB 12, but different. Like I it was just different. I literally, the day that I turned 18, I remember it. I was walking to the bus stop, going to school, and I remember just stopping in the middle of the street and literally looking up. And I don't consider myself a religious person, but I consider myself someone who has faith, right? And what that faith is, I'm not exactly sure. That's something I'm still figuring out. But I do believe in a higher power. And I just remember looking up and just saying thank you. Like, that to me, the day I turned 18 was the day I realized I survived foster care. If any of you guys know any foster youth personally, or may have talked to someone, not all of us survive it. And what I mean is that foster youth are out here being killed by their foster parents. We're out here being sexually abused. We're out here being physically abused. We're out here being emotionally abused. And because we don't have those natural support systems, oftentimes we fall short and we become a product of our environment. That means we become a product of foster care, right? And oftentimes that looks like one or two things. For men, that looks like they end up going, after foster care, they end up selling drugs to support themselves. Which normally ends up into other criminal activity, and they end up in prison. Females, they unfortunately usually end up in sex work because, again, they don't have those natural support systems. They usually have to do sex work to make ends meet and to survive. Neither option I like for foster youth, but it is a very real thing out here, is that men go to prison and then the women usually end up in sex work fields. I want to change that. Like I said, I'm only 25. I think I'm hoping that it's becoming a little better. I can say that all the foster youth that I grew up with, they're not, none of us are really doing too well, and I will even put myself in that category because I feel like I'm doing okay due to me not having, those natural support systems. I feel like for what I have, I'm doing well. Look around, and I'm still, Facebook friends with some of my foster siblings and even my brother who grew up in foster care as well. It's a different story. It's not a pretty story. It's not a pretty story, but it's a realistic story of what can happen in foster care if maybe you don't know your rights, maybe if you don't plan, and if you just end up becoming a product of foster care. I just want to make sure that I am paying it forward. I love to help people, especially those who have been in my predicament, because I know what it feels like to not have help. That's why I'm a huge advocate for foster youth. I just try to give back as much as I can. I think that's why I currently work in the mental health field and with foster youth and just youth who have their own challenges and things like that, because I understand it. That's it for me. Know what you guys think. Go ahead and drop a comment on what you think of this video if you find anything interesting. Again, go ahead and hit that thumbs up or that thumbs down button. You guys have a good day. And just whatever it is that you go out and do, make sure that it's good and make sure that it's positive. Try to pay it forward, whatever that looks like to you. That's my encouragement to you guys. All right, I'm getting out of here. Y'all have a good one. I'm gone.